and welcome to For the Culture. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's your girl, Miss Moi.
I'm AWB.
And I'm the Diva.
And thank you so much for following us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and I think I got them all. New Beat Radio. Thank you so much for following us, liking, sharing, viewing. We totally appreciate you. And tonight we have an amazing show before you. We are talking about the late, the great Malcolm X. And as we get directly into that, let's talk about this super individual and all that they have given to our community. Happy birthday, AWB. All right. So, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
It's your day that they call, what is it, around the sun?
Solar.
Yeah. So, are you feeling youthful? Are you feeling older? Are you feeling the same?
I feel the same. I'm pretty blessed, though. I feel blessed. I always say grateful because I know that's kind of corny, but I say it all the time, and I really, really mean it this year. You know, that COVID hit us like crazy.
Yeah, it did.
And I was laid out for a while. So
Yeah.
I am grateful to be seeing 57.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
COVID had us
Thank you.
feeling like we was going to die. So,
Literally.
My goodness.
So I'm happy that we survived that, and happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
And I hope you enjoy it. So tonight we are talking about Malcolm X and just all that he was and is for the culture. As you know, this is the day of his demise.
Yes.
And so it was apparent.
Exact same day and year. February 21st, 1965. He was assassinated. I was born.
Crazy.
So I feel like there's a connection there.
Yeah. Absolutely. So as we get to talking about him, born May 19th, 1925, come on, tourists. And of course, this is the day of his demise. He was born Malcolm Little. I wanted to talk about him for a few reasons. I feel like he has been made to be the bad guy.
The villain, yeah.
Over generations, and I don't necessarily think that that's fair. I don't think that that's okay. So, one of the things that I found in researching is they would always put him like against Martin Luther King.
Yes.
Right.
As if to say he had an issue with Martin or he wasn't in agreement with him at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think his narrative, his idea was more just the focus of us, because he felt like nobody was totally focused on us. And I don't know if that's bad. I don't think that that's bad. What do you guys think?
I think that they had, bear with me here, they had two different messages, but they had the same message.
Mm-hmm.
They just went about it in a different way.
Right.
You know, and then there was a point where they did disagree, that they did argue, because, you know, Malcolm said a few things about Martin, okay? But his thing was he wanted to get the attention of the people, and he did. When he joined the Nation of Islam, it was about 400 strong. He took that from 400 strong to about 40,000. You know, not just him alone, but he contributed to that. You know, so he had a serious message. And what Martin was saying, you know, turn the other cheek, you know, nonviolent, you know, some people were feeling that, but some people were not feeling that. They wanted to get in the faces of the people who were getting in our face, you know, and so that's why they could 100% relate to Malcolm X.
Yeah. What
I
about you?
would say definitely that, you know, whenever you have great leadership, they usually will try to pit them against each other.
Yeah.
And it's so unfortunate, because I really feel, of course, not being in that time, in that era, but I really feel in that time they were adversaries.
Yeah.
They were friends. They did communicate. You know, again, having two different messages, but the same mission,
That's
same
right.
goal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For me, just, you know, circling back on what both of you guys said, they both were about the culture and helping the culture move forward. One of them felt like, you know what, I'm going to focus on us because I'm living from this experience, and we need to do this to protect ourselves because we have racists, we have people coming towards us, and so we need to protect ourselves.
Right.
And then another one felt like, you know what, let's do this in a nonviolent way, so that way we'll stay alive. And we'll, get further along in the process. And maybe if we play nice,
Right.
But that didn't work either.
in a sense, that it's going to get us further along.
Yeah.
So I think, like you guys are saying, they had the same mission, but it's just like they definitely were
Pitted against each other.
other, like opponents for whatever reason. And it's just a different way of handling a situation. Me personally, I've said this before, I don't know how nonviolent I would necessarily be if someone's trying to kill me.
Right.
Just
Right.
because.
Right. And they were killing us just because. They're
Yeah.
still killing us just because.
Yeah.
But they felt like at that time they had carte blanche. I mean, they would just walk up on you and shoot you and walk away.
Yeah.
With no repercussion.
Yeah. So the first question that I have to you guys officially now, because we've given our 2 cents, our 2 and a few. Who was Malcolm X to you?
I think, I absolutely love Malcolm X, and I would have been a follower of Malcolm X. I truly believe that. I mean, I was raised in the Nation of Islam, but I think I really would have leaned toward him. He was, first of all, he was a strong individual. You would think that he was much older in his years than he was. When he died, he was 39 years old.
Right.
When he went to jail, he could not read, he could not write. So he self-taught, and then he was able to lead basically a nation. That, to me, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me. So I love that about him.
Who
I
was
could
Malcolm X?
say a whole lot of other things, but
Right.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump. Go ahead.
So I'll come from the other side of things. Being raised a Christian, with him being from the Nation of Islam, I had a different view of him at first.
Okay.
It wasn't until I got into my adult years and got to study for myself and kind of learn different things about him and his mission that I actually really, truly understood
Yeah.
who he was as a person.
Yeah.
So, religious basis aside, I think he's an amazing person.
Yeah.
I definitely, agree with you when you said that, I probably could not have lived in those times. I probably would have been killed, just because I know my mouth can be very slick.
Yeah.
If I feel disrespected or slighted.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll do it in a very nice and professional way. I'm not going to yell and cuss and do all that. But, I can just see myself being a member of his organization and being one of those ones that, was arrested and or killed for speaking out.
Yeah. Well, religious base for me, I know during that time we were in a different place. And so Christianity, of course, was a lot of what we were taught, right, after slavery and all of that. But because of what we were dealing with as a race, I think that's why the nation became so popular.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think it was necessarily about being a Christian or being a Muslim or anything about that. It was just the simple fact that, wait a minute, we need protection. We need to come together. We need some type of brotherhood, and this is how we're going to do it. For me, I think that he was a Renaissance man. I think he was the best rebel of his kind because whether he was going through the process and he was doing or saying something different than what other people were doing and saying, and even in the end, when he decided, wait a minute, I done been to Mecca, I done seen something else. I done seen people that look just like me celebrate what I celebrate and honor what I honor. Wait a minute, maybe we don't have to be so divided after all.
Right.
So I think that he was about what was right, but he also was a growing person. You saw throughout his life him grow. He was young and he was, in the streets and doing negative things and whatever. He came out of that. And then he got into speaking and the ministry and all of that. And he was there for the community and for the culture. And he was there and he was strong in that. But then he started to do things for himself. And he started to see things for himself.
Yes.
And I think it's okay to know a story, to be taught a story, to be told a story. But when you start seeing stuff for yourself, you see it a little different.
That's right.
Definitely.
And so I think he was awesome because he was a growing person.
Yeah. And you could watch it. You could see him
Transition.
evolve.
Yeah.
Before your eyes, basically.
Yeah. And one thing that I feel about him that I found as well is he did not waver on his beliefs.
Not at
No
all.
matter
Not at all.
who his adversary was, whether it be people of another color, whether it be people of the same color. This is what I stand on, and I'm standing on that.
That's it.
And
Okay.
he continued to stand on it even when the people that he believed in, he loved, he was following, seemed to turn against him.
Yeah.
There you
He
go.
still stayed right there. So he was not following a man per se. He was he was following God. He
Yeah.
was following the vision that he felt was put before him.
So I got something, a little trivia part for y'all, and I want to know what you think and why, okay? So we got some Malcolm X quotes. I want to know which one is your favorite, and you tell me why. The first one is a man who stands for nothing will fall for anything. Number 2 is the hardest test I've ever faced was praying. Number 3 is early in life I learned that if you want to do something, you better make some noise. And number 4 is Dr. King wants the same thing I want, freedom. Which one is your favorite and why?
By any means necessary. You didn't say that.
No, I did
You didn't say
not.
that.
No, I did not. That was on purpose. Go off of what you've been given.
So I think the one that I resonate with, the hardest test I ever found
Was praying.
was to pray.
Okay. Yeah.
I can relate to that, and probably a lot of you out there can relate to that. We can find it easy to worship and honor and pray and praise when things are going well, okay? But when you fall on your face and you feel like, God, where are you? You know, that's when it becomes hard for me. And so that's when I have to really talk to myself, and I really have to push through it, and I really have to rehearse what I have heard and what I have read and what I've learned. So number 2, that one resonates for me.
What about you, David?
Stand for something or fall for anything.
Yeah.
Definitely one of my favorite quotes.
Yeah.
And one of my mantras for life.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as Malcolm did, and as I feel all of us should in our culture, we have to stand for what we believe in.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you there. You're going to have to stand for some or you're going to fall for anything. And I stand on that. I say that all the time. I love Brother Malcolm. He's someone that I studied young. And so there are a lot of his quotes, as my mother just said, that we love and we have spoken throughout life because they are so just apparent.
They're relevant.
In our culture. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think one thing about him, you can try to make him a villain. You can say whatever. But he gave us strength. He gave us power.
He gave us a sense of pride.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Just the pride. This is who I am. I don't have to try to be this or that. I stand in my wholeness. We talked another show about missing women and, you know, and how he gave that quote about, you know, just the most disrespected, disregarded, forgotten person in the United States of America or in the world, whether is the black woman.
Yes.
There are so many things that he said that even nurtured to us as women, so much so that they called him a feminist, which is so weird because he was not.
Right.
But I think that he just stood for the sisters and the brothers.
I think they had to call him something. They didn't know what to call him.
Yeah.
He had so much power, they were afraid of him.
Yeah.
You know?
So if you're just tuning in, this is for the culture, and we are always talking about things that are culturally related. Tonight we are talking about the late and the great Malcolm X. And the reason that we are doing this is there's a Martin Luther King Day. And I just feel like there should be a Malcolm X Day. And this is the exact date of his demise. And also your birthday. Shout out to AWB.
Yes, thank you.
In the building. So tonight we are talking all about him and just what he was to our culture. So you said some of my facts. I need you to get out of my head, but I'm going to repeat a few because it's sitting down right here in front of me. And it says when he started with the Nation of Islam, there was about 400 members, and later it was about 40,000. And this was in between the 50s and 60s. So you can see just how big his following was. And like I said, with that, I don't think it was more so religious based. It was just community.
It was community, and it gave us hope.
Yes.
And a sense of pride, and a sense of belonging, and believe. He made people believe in themselves.
Yeah. And so I got another part here I want to put on y'all mind. We mentioned this a second ago, but I want to send it to you in a question. It was rumored that his assassination in books, documentaries, and even movies, that he was killed by the Nation of Islam. How can the same people that you love, that you lead, that you protect, kill you? What do you guys feel about that?
I don't know the facts on it. Like you said, it was rumored.
Yeah.
You know, I think that in a lot of people's minds, he became too big for his britches. He became too popular. He became the main attraction, as it were, you know, and that wasn't the way it was supposed to be. He was supposed to be the sideshow bringing them in. He wasn't supposed to be the one that they were coming to see.
Yeah. What about you?
You know, honestly, and it's very unfortunate, but usually it's the ones that are closest to you
Yes.
that you generally have to be fearful for
Yeah.
or of. And I think he knew,
He knew.
you know, just from all the learnings that I found and investigated, you know, I really think he knew. I think he knew even at the moment of his death who it was that
Responsible, yeah.
was responsible. You know, and it's just very unfortunate that, you know, instead of appreciating each other in our culture, we never want anyone to be bigger than we are or bigger
Crab
than
syndrome.
we expect them to be. And
Yeah.
it definitely is that the crabs in the barrel syndrome. It's just so unfortunate because there was room for plenty
Yes.
at the table.
Yeah.
You know, his gift was his gift.
Yeah.
And instead of honoring that gift and respecting that gift, they chose to take it away.
Yeah.
But you know, that still exists today.
Yeah.
The crab
Very
in the
much.
barrel syndrome.
Yeah.
Or
Very much.
oh, you're doing this, so I want to do this. Well, you're doing this, I can do this better. Or you're doing this, and I'm not going to support you, and I'm not going to, you know, we still do the same thing today. Well,
Yeah.
like you said, there's room
Yeah.
for everyone, and your gift will make room for you.
Yeah.
That's
You don't
it.
have to imitate me. I don't have to imitate you.
Yeah.
Right.
Your gifts will make room for you.
Yeah.
All you have to do is get in your lane and stay there.
Yeah. I think another thing that was sad about this, through the process of him being a part of the nation to him at the end, right? Because at the end, I don't know if he was necessarily a part of the nation anymore because they kind of put him out. And then he had went to Mecca and seen blue eyes and blonde hair and different things for himself and called them brother and kneeled with them. But I think it was like, it's sad, like you say, throughout this process, you got these people that's riding with you.
Yeah.
And they with you because you're technically for them. But then if you find out additional information or you want to change your thinking or you want to change what you believe to be true just a little bit, it's a problem. And so another thing that I saw throughout his demise and throughout his life, there were so many people that followed him when he was a part of the nation. And they were his brother and they were, you know, his comrade and his confidants. But then when he grew his knowledge and he started talking a little different and looking a little different, they kind of went away. There was something that I watched recently with Muhammad Ali, and people were speaking on Muhammad's behalf, you know, saying that in the end, that was one of his regrets.
Yeah.
That he turned his back, in a sense, on his brother because of what other people were saying and what other people were doing. And you got to be careful what you get caught up in sometimes. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people just want to divide you, and that's of the enemy. I don't care what you believe in. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just let people make you feel like, oh, this person is reading more and doing more and seeing more. They're the bad guy. You know? And so why is it that we get so caught up in what people are saying and want us to do?
Because I think by nature we want to please people, you know, and I think we all want to be better. We all want to do better. And if we think that somebody is stepping out just a little further than we are, it makes you feel some kind of way. I think that kind of starts in kindergarten. You know, you've got a ball, I want your ball. You know, it doesn't matter that I have a whole stack of blocks because you have that, I want that, you know. And I think it just stays with us as we become adults. And unless you check yourself on a regular basis, you know, you can easily fall into that. I remember a good friend of mine, she started to do very well. She began to prosper, and people began to talk about her.
Yeah.
They began to talk about her.
Yeah.
And she said, I remember this, if they only knew what I've been through and what it took for me to get here.
It is a mouthful right there.
Yes.
Woo.
Yes. I mean, you think that you want what the next man got, but can you walk in their very tight shoes? Probably not.
Because with a lot of people in greatness, there's a lot of heartache.
It is.
There's a lot of moments of just having to start over. You know, being alone, there's a lot of moments like that. So we got to be careful idolizing people or thinking they think they're too much.
Yeah.
You don't know their story. You
That's
don't know
right.
what it's like to be them at
That's
the
right.
end of the day. What you think, Steve?
I would definitely agree and concur with both of you, actually, because of the fact that until you have actually walked in someone else's shoes, you can't say that you have or you don't have what it takes to be them. Nor should we want to be them. you know, I hear the saying Malcolm likes or Malcolmites, you know, and every great person, they go through depressions.
Yeah.
They go through all kinds of emotions. Most of them end up divorced if they're married.
Yeah.
You know.
Bouts of loneliness.
Exactly.
You know?
There's a whole different realm of things they have to endure and go through just for the sake of standing on their belief.
Being a leader is not
Exactly.
easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
No.
It's not.
You know, and people think, you know, oh, I want to be that person. I want to be in charge. I want to, you don't know that person gets 2 hours of sleep a night.
Exactly. If that.
You don't know. You don't know all the doors that have been shut in their face.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, trying to pull everybody, and then sometimes you got people who are following you, who don't even necessarily want to go your way. They just want to ride on your name.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it also goes back to a sense of community.
Mm.
You know, there was a time with our people, and I think that was a lot of what Malcolm was trying to instill, where we actually were there for each other.
Mm-hmm.
We helped each other.
Yeah.
You know, if I knew my sister couldn't read, and I could, I'm trying to help my sister learn how to read.
Yes.
You know, instead of talking about her or belittling her,
Yeah.
let me help you.
Yeah.
Let's get through this
Absolutely.
together. You know, I think a lot of that has gone away from our community, from our culture, and it's unfortunate.
One thing that I do love about Malcolm X is he's similar to Obama when it comes to one word, and that is change. If you pay attention to his life, like we've spoken on before, he had this adolescence where he was a criminal. He was in and out of jail, couldn't read, none of that, right?
He was a PK.
And then was he?
Yes.
Okay. And then after that, he changed his life. He changed his mind.
Yeah.
And he started doing something positive to help his culture and his community. And then from there, when he was there, he said, you know what? I got to learn some more.
Yeah.
I got to see some more. I got to change some more. It is okay to change.
And
it is okay to evolve.
I didn't mean to cut you, but in his change, you know, there were some people he rode with, you know, and once he got out of jail and he had this whole different demeanor, some of those folks were like, hey, okay, what kind of scam we running? What we doing here? What we doing?
Yeah.
Because they didn't believe that he changed.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so there's going to be people in your life. Listen, we all have a past. We all have a past.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you leave your past behind and you begin to evolve, you begin to change, there are going to be people who are going to remind you of your past.
Right.
They don't want you to forget who you used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's one thing that I love about him as well, is his ability to grow and change, because they show those images of him all the time holding that rifle at that window.
Yeah.
They show those images all the time of him being, he was aggressive when he was up there speaking, and he had so much to say, and he was telling you about himself. But in the end, he was doing something different. And I would love for people to highlight, those things about him. Okay, so we talked about his past, we talked about things that he learned, we talked about his growth. What do you think is his biggest influence on our culture today?
And by any means necessary.
There you go again.
I'm sorry. But you know what? You know that's where we get stuck, right?
Yeah.
You know that's where we stop.
Right.
You know, we take that one anytime anything is getting ready to jump off, anytime by any means necessary is what we think
I said
of. But I think that he meant that, but I don't think that we have to apply it to everything.
Okay.
Do you?
So you ain't got to be about it 24/7.
Not 24/7.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. How do you think he's impacted
Well,
the
you know,
culture the most?
I would go with that, but I'll go more to situations like your George Floyd's or your Ahmaud's. You know, people in those moments when they are facing those adversaries and how they stood, even though they were being slighted,
Mm.
and even though they were being struck down,
Yeah.
and even though they were being killed.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I take as any means necessary.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I think in their hearts they probably knew their lives would speak volumes,
Yeah.
even in the afterlife, so to speak, or,
Yeah.
you know, after their death, that they would be the cause of a change.
Yeah.
So.
You know what's so crazy to me and hard for me to grasp is that we have had these Renaissance men. whether it's Martin Luther King, whether it's Malcolm X, and we are still in situations of the George Floyd narrative. How is this possible when these men have trailblazed, and women, because Rosa Parks was a beast. She did more than just sit on that bus.
Yes,
She
Rosa.
did more. She stood for us.
Mm-hmm.
But how is it possible that we've experienced such great, I mean, we marched and we've done all these things to keep having these same situations repeat? One thing you used to say when I was a kid, and I say it sometimes, I try not to, but ain't nothing changed but the date. How did the hood become the badge? And how are we still facing the same issues today?
It's something about our skin when they see us. We are a threat. We are a threat. Whether we're 12, whether we're 30, it does not matter. And it doesn't matter if you're male or female. The fight that was at the mall.
I saw it.
The fight that was at the mall. Now, the 15-year-old, the white boy, it is alleged that he started the fight, that he was bullying one of the other kids. And the black guy, okay, he was taken up for the other kid. But they're in a tussle. They're in a fight.
Yeah.
They're in a fight.
Yeah.
The police come, rough the baby up.
Right.
Rough him up. Now they take the white kid
And sit him to
and
the
they
side.
sit him on the bench.
Yeah.
He just sitting there
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah,
And it's two cops on this baby,
yeah. I saw that.
on his back.
Yeah.
Didn't we just watch the knees in the back? Didn't we just watch that? They didn't. The people are yelling. People are yelling who was the aggressor.
Right.
They're yelling who the aggressor was. But the cops weren't. When they see us, all we have to do is be present in our skin, and we're a threat.
Diva.
Mouthful.
Yeah.
A lot of it goes back to mindset. Not only for our culture, but other cultures.
Yeah.
And how they see us as non-human still sometimes. Or how they see us as a threat.
Yeah.
And it was funny, well, not funny, but my husband and I were just having this conversation because we happen to move into a community where we are still considered a minority.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you know what? We belong here.
Mm-hmm.
And no one can tell us different.
Yeah.
But so many times we as a people feel like we don't belong.
That's right.
Yeah.
We haven't earned the right to be in certain neighborhoods, or we haven't earned the right to have certain careers, or we haven't earned the right to have our kids go to certain schools and get the educations. So we have to change our mindset first. And then we won't allow, and I did say allow, we won't allow the Good Old Boy Network.
Woo, y'all dropping gems tonight. If you're just tuning in, this is For the Culture, and we are talking about the amazing, the incredible life of Malcolm X. One thing that I do not like about rumors, allegations, stuff like that pertaining to his life is the infidelities, the women, the children, the this, the that. I think it's very unfortunate, and I also see a trend that when it comes to men of color, of power, there is this narrative that, oh no, they can't be that good. They were good, but let me tell you how bad they were. It's like we have to just slight him for whatever reason. Now, was he a perfect man? From my understanding, no. He had several wives and all, different choices, but he also got married several times, so that's, honored by God. But it's like, why is it that we have to find the bad thing? Why is it that we can't just let people be great? We talked about this on Martin Luther King's birthday. Like, what is it that is about our society that we got to have the tea?
We're bored.
She said we're bored.
I just feel like people, our lives are so jacked up, I don't want to think about that, so I'm going to point at you. I'm going to point at you. Yours has got to be worse than mine.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we do a lot of the carrying of
Yeah.
We will point our fingers at you, and my thing is grace.
Yeah.
Grace. Because you know what? If you open the closet, if you open my closet, ain't no telling what kind of bone's gonna fall out.
Yeah.
So I don't have the right. I cannot talk about you and what you're doing and what you've been through. It's not my business.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, what did the old folks used to say, sweep around your own front door?
Yeah. That was before my time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I bet that's what they said.
That's what they said.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Why do we gotta carry the tea, Diva?
You know,
Say it. We're bored.
Look, it's like she is there. She don't want to say what she thinking. She don't want to say it.
okay, we have got to get better as a people
Yeah.
with judging people. Not one of us on this earth has a heaven nor a hell to put anybody
That's
in.
it.
Period.
That's it.
So, if you are doing something that I don't like, I can distance myself from you and not talk about you.
Yes.
That's what we have to realize.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things, and I'm going to speak on my Christian friends for just a moment here. You know, we like to judge people. But don't you understand that this prostitute, this pimp, this homosexual, this whoever you are, when you lie, that sin is a sin. It's no big one, it's no little one.
Right.
Sin is a sin.
That's
Yeah.
it.
So when we stand and we're judging folks and we're looking at their life and we're looking at them off, you know, baby, you just put yourself right there with me now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's funny because I saw one of my social media friends shared a post the other day. She said, I wonder what those real religious people, real churchy, don't go nowhere, don't wear makeup, don't do nothing, don't drink, don't smoke, don't hang out, don't cuss, don't da-da-da, what they gonna do when they get to heaven and they see people like Lil Boosie, because she said because God forgives, you know, if you're willing to be forgiven. So it's like, I just cracked up because that is the truth. Like, we don't have a heaven or hell
All
to
you
put
got to
people
do
in.
is ask for forgiveness. And the thing about that, grace.
Yeah.
We live under grace.
Yeah.
You can ask over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think for me, one thing that I'm big on in my life, even when things are falling completely apart or I'm doing a million things at once, like right now in this season, I feel like a taxi driver for myself and my kids.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But I choose to focus on the good. So if you want to see a person as good, you will.
Yeah.
That's right.
If you want to focus on the negative, you will.
Yeah.
And so I remember telling someone recently, because they was telling me about such and such making a post and doing it, and it was a narrative at me. This was some time back, and I said, you know what? I don't care, and I want them to have whatever they have, because over here, what I put out is positivity, because that's what's going to come back. I don't have time to even entertain. I don't want to talk about them. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about anything negative, because it's not serving me. It's not. We got to, what is important?
Yeah.
What is positive and what is productive? If it's not, why are we focusing on it? Malcolm X was an amazing person for our culture. He gave us a voice. He gave us a different perspective. And so you can sit around and judge what he was or what he wasn't or his imperfections, but that doesn't take away how great of a man he was. And there are so many others. I mean, Martin Luther King was another. You know, I mean, on a much lesser spectrum, I'm not saying anywhere, but Bill Cosby is another one. Let's let men of color be great. They can be great.
I wish we could, but we're not going to.
Kobe was great. Don't talk about him negative in his demise. Like,
Yeah.
let people be great.
Yeah. We can't, though, because we're bored.
I can't. I'm not doing this with you. I know it's your day, but I ain't on that.
But here's the whole deal, and why I say that is because all you got to do, look at television right now.
Yeah.
They're not making any good shows, really.
Yeah.
You know, everything is awful. And then you got the reality shows, and those are the shows with all the viewers. They're with all the... Why? Because people, man, if we start pulling each other, I say it all the time, we start pulling each other's hair and start throwing drinks in each other,
Yeah.
watch our numbers.
This
Watch our
here
numbers.
happened right here.
fly.
Just letting y'all know.
We ain't doing it because ain't none of this hair coming off. You understand me? We're going to leave out of here with the same hair that we brought in here. All three of them. Okay.
I'm
Period.
just saying. Listen, I'm throw this cup up against the wall. What happened? Oh my God!
Yeah.
Did you see? What?
Yeah.
She threw that cup, and then we're gonna add some stuff.
Yeah.
We're gonna add some stuff because we got to make it really juicy, and I think that's what they did with Malcolm. They had to make it juicier. I mean, he was enough all by himself.
Yeah.
They didn't have to add nothing.
Yeah.
You know.
They didn't have to add nothing. And if you look at his life and you look at how phenomenal he was, and you look at his ability to grow, and you look at his ability to love, you know, I call just about everybody sis. Now, if I call you sister, that's different. But the reason for that's because that's where I came from.
Yeah.
That's in my background. You know, it's okay to embrace people in a positive way.
Yeah.
It's okay to be nice to people.
Yeah.
You know, we got this thing where we got to leave people behind, and we got to be solo dolo. Who told you that?
Right.
That's a lot of depression right there. That's a lot of
free time.
Yes, it is.
You can be bored.
You know what? That's your word for the night.
That's my word.
That's your word. If you're just tuning in, this is For the Culture, and we are on every Monday at 7 p.m. Tonight we are talking about the amazing Malcolm X and his life and just his lineage. And I wanted to highlight him and just talk about him for an entire show because I don't think that he gets all of the credit he deserves. Another thing that I found in my research, y'all let me know if I'm wrong. When I was looking up facts about him, it was like itty bitty living space.
Listen, I had
But
to
then
go
when I look
to several different places.
when I look at facts for Martin,
Mhm.
ooh. So even society wanted to make him non-relevant
Minimize.
or the bad guy.
Yeah. Well, whether you agree with his message or disagree with his message, what he did was motivate the people.
Yes.
He motivated the people.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why you don't hear, well, you know, they're trying to erase our history altogether
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so they want it to be itty bitty little bitty because they don't want us to say, oh my God, he was a thinking man. I mean, and we are an amazing people. We are a smart people. We
Yeah.
are an intelligent people.
Yeah.
And what they like to say about us is that we're a lazy people.
Yeah.
Baby, how many years did we work for free?
Wow.
Well, there's that.
We helped build this thing.
Yeah.
We are not a lazy people, but you
Yeah.
know what happened? We began to buy into it.
Yeah.
And then we tried to sell it to each other.
What was your biggest takeaway from Malcolm X, his life, his story, and what you found out information-wise, movie-wise? What was the thing that stuck with you the most?
You know, speaking of series, The Godfather of Harlem actually
Ooh.
definitely depicts Malcolm in
Yes.
a different light.
Yes.
You know, as well as there was a special where they showed, and I forgot the name of it. I want to say it was him, Muhammad. You know, even when Muhammad came about and became a member of the Nation of Islam.
Yes, yes.
You know, and Martin and how they all were going through different areas and challenges in their life. But you know, you mentioned earlier about his journey to Mecca.
Mhm.
You know, and I recall even watching a documentary about Richard Pryor when he went and how they tried to block the information
Yeah.
that he learned
Yeah.
from getting out.
Yeah.
You know, so I just really, 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 you know, think that, you know, we as a people, as a culture, have to do our research.
Yeah.
Because, again, even here in Podunk, Indiana, as I call it,
I'm done.
you know,
I'm
but
done.
even the battles that are going on with our schools, with
Yeah.
what can be taught and what cannot be taught,
Yeah.
it's scary.
Yeah.
It is scary, you know, and I'm grateful that my children are all grown now, but I think about my grandson, yes, I have a grandson. But, you know, I think about him and his learning,
Yeah.
you know, and how it's going to be up to us as his family
Yep.
to teach them some of the history that they're trying to erase.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I really, really take away from Malcolm.
What about you, AWV? What's your takeaway?
I think that his story, great story, but also a sad story. You
Yeah.
know, he was a powerful man. He was a leader, but he was also a husband and a father.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and can you imagine hearing negative, derogatory things about your parent every day,
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
to fight because of who your father is?
Yeah.
You
I want
know,
to be.
Yeah.
you know, and that's the whole thing.
Daddy.
You know, he only had one grandson. He had no sons. He had one grandson, Malcolm Shabazz, and he had a lot of issues. He had a lot of issues
Yeah.
for who he was, for who his mother was, who his grandparents were.
Right.
You know, he ended up dying really young.
Yeah.
This is the only male descendant that he had.
Yeah.
You know, and he's the the son that set the fire that killed Betty Shabazz, Malcolm's wife.
Mhm.
So there was a lot of tragedy.
Right.
Yeah.
He dealt with a lot of heartache. He dealt with a lot of tragedy. He was a man, and they tried to make him out to be a monster, and he was not. He believed in who he was, and he believed in his people.
Yeah. I think my biggest takeaway from Malcolm X is just definitely the ability to grow and the ability to be changing and willing to learn something new. Because I was raised, I guess, a few ways with my mother's background being in the Nation of Islam, growing up in a Christian home. I always heard all of it. I knew the stories about the brotherhood and what it was like for us to have our own stores and restaurants and all those things from the nation. But I also knew what it was like to have the potlucks at church and all those things as well. And so I think the greatest lesson that I got from him is just the ability to grow and the ability to be who you are. A lot of times we want to follow the crowd. We want to follow the wave. And we want to do what everyone is doing and say what they're saying so we can get along. But sometimes you just got to stand on what you stand on, believe what you believe, and be great. A lot of the greatest people were not surrounded by a whole bunch of people that thought the exact way that they did. But because they were the way that they are or think the way that they do, that's why their impact was so mighty. So let's not minimize him because he didn't want to play nice. Let's not minimize him because of his personal life. Let's let this black man be great.
Because he was.
He was absolutely great. Thank you so much for tuning in to For the Culture. This was another amazing show. Amazing show. That goes together. I'm sorry. If you missed the show tonight, you can catch us on the replay. You can catch us on YouTube tomorrow. Thank you so much for our sponsors tonight, Gems and New Beat Radio. Coming in March, you're going to be able to listen to us nationwide. Good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night. Good
night.
night.